Hi, everyone. For those of you who've just joined the call, I'm Elizabeth Woods, and I'm your host for tonight's telephone town hall. In a moment, PSAC National President Chris Aylward will be giving PSAC members an update on how we're continuing to support and protect members during the COVID-19 pandemic. We have many members joining the call, so it'll take a few minutes before we can start, so thanks for your patience. Because we expect a lot of members tonight, we're not able to take live questions like we usually do, but there will be an opportunity to leave feedback or a question at the end of the call, and we'll be able to call you back with answers to your questions. We're also going to ask you a question, and you can answer it through your phone using the polling function. So stay tuned for that. That's going to come up shortly. So we'll be starting shortly. Thanks for staying on the line. We're going to dial in to all the members. Okay, looking at the numbers, I think we're pretty much actually ready to go. So my name's Elizabeth Woods. I'm the coordinator of PSAC's regional offices in the National Capital Region, and I'm hosting tonight's telephone town hall meeting. This is the call of several PSAC. This call is one of several PSAC National Presidents, Chris Aylward, and PSAC National Executive Vice President Magali Picard are having this week to update PSAC's membership on what our union is doing to support and protect members during the COVID-19 pandemic. They will be speaking to PSAC members who work all across Canada for many different employers. The majority of our members work in the federal public service, for federal agencies or crown corporations, but in the last 20 years, we've been organizing and we've been growing in numbers of members who work in other sectors, like universities, casinos, community service agencies, Indigenous service providers, airports, and in police and security sectors. Wherever you live or work, this telephone call is for you. It's a chance for us to come together safely from a distance. The call will be about 30 minutes. We hope you're able to stay until the end so that you can leave us a short message or a question. So now here's PSAC National President Chris Aylward. Chris, over to you. Okay, we're just having a little technical glitch, but that's fine. Chris is going to be redialing in. We're going to do the poll question now, since we're waiting while we just adjust our technical issue. So I'm going to go ahead and ask you our poll question. So our poll question, we want to know basically how COVID-19 has affected your work status. Okay, so so the way we'll do this is I'm going to there I see Chris. We're back on with Chris. See, that's the joys of technology. Can you hear me, Chris?
Absolutely, Elizabeth. Can you hear me okay?
Okay. Yes, I can hear you great. So actually we'll hand it over to Chris and we'll come back with my polling question a bit later. So over to you, Chris.
Sorry about that. Good evening, friends. Yes, technology, the new world of technology, and I have greatly apologize for that. My apologies. So thanks, Elizabeth, and my friends. I'm so glad that many of you were able to join the town hall session this evening, and I want to thank you for taking the time to be part of it. I want to begin by recognizing that many of you on this call will have been touched directly by COVID-19. Some of you may have suffered infection and illness. Some of you may have had people close to you who have become infected and even perhaps hospitalized. And some of you may, in fact, even have lost loved ones. To each of you, I offer my heartfelt sympathy on behalf of the Public Service Alliance of Canada. Before now, I've traveled the country to visit many job sites, as did Magali Picard, our PSAC National Executive Vice President, so that we can hear from you and hear what your concerns are, see what your job conditions are like, and to hear directly from you. But of course, everything that this pandemic has brought, of course, has been all disrupted. The work we're doing and the work you're doing has changed, obviously, dramatically. Overnight, thousands of PSAC members had to transform private and personal and even family space into a work site, often without the necessary equipment or other supports. And with the closures of schools and no access to childcare, those of you with children had to figure out how to do your work and parent at the same time, again, often with little or no support. Those of you who were told to keep reporting to job sites are coping with huge challenges, including how to get to and from work safely. Many of you are working long hours and dealing with changed schedules. Even more serious and difficult is that many of you are working in situations and environments where maintaining physical distance from others at all times is impossible. That puts you at constant risk of COVID-19 infection, and I know the stress has become more than anyone should have to bear. And then there are PSAC members who have been forced out of work altogether by layoffs, or who have had their hours reduced, or maybe their term contracts have not been renewed. Many haven't just lost a paycheck, they've also lost insured benefits. I don't know how many of you on the call tonight are in that situation, but my heart goes out to you. Losing a job is devastating at any time, and I realize it's made much worse because of the uncertainty of the future. But you need to know that our union will fight to get your jobs back, and we will put everything we have, working with other unions to make sure that the federal government support programs stay in place and that they are improved wherever necessary. Every PSAC member counts, whether you're employed or laid off. These are very hard times for everyone, and that's the main reason for these telephone town halls. Magali and I wanted to reach out to you on behalf of the entire leadership of the PSAC to tell you that you are not alone. Your union is here for you. We are working hard, and we will keep working hard to protect you, to defend you, and to help you through this. Before I tell you more about what PSAC is doing, I want to pay tribute to you. From the day the pandemic nightmare began, you have stepped up for others. You've stepped up despite all the challenges in your way, and despite all the risks to your health and the health of your family. There have been universal praise for the Federal Public Service's response to COVID-19. But let's be clear, that response could not and would not have been happening without the contribution of PSAC members. There are so many examples of the vitally important work and the extraordinary effort by our members. And unfortunately, I can't name them all tonight. But our members at the Canada Revenue Agency and Service Canada have helped process literally millions of applications for financial assistance for individuals and businesses, and are continuing to do so every day. Border service officers processed and screened and assisted huge numbers of people at airports and land border crossings to limit the spread of infection. Food inspectors have been working throughout this pandemic, even in meat packing plants overrun with COVID-19, to ensure a safe supply of food. And now we just learned, just this past day, that 40 food inspectors have tested positive with COVID-19. And across federal departments, thousands of our members have stepped forward to do completely new jobs to support the government's relief efforts. And these achievements are not limited to the Federal Public Service. Emergency responders throughout the country, including in remote communities, are there to give direct frontline assistance to those in need. We have members in university research labs playing a leading role in the global efforts to develop a vaccine. We have members working in hospitals and other healthcare facilities, and some who work in shelters and community agencies. And of course, many PSAC members are volunteering their time and making financial donations to help others, especially vulnerable people in their communities. One of the amazing things about this unprecedented time is the unprecedented display of social solidarity. PSAC members and our union are part of this incredible movement, and I want to thank you, and I want to thank you for everything you have done so far. Elizabeth.
Thanks, Chris. I'm going to ask you to pause here for a moment so I can welcome to the call those who were a bit late in joining. I'm Elizabeth Woods, PSAC's coordinator for our regional offices in the National Capital Region, and I'm hosting tonight's telephone town hall meeting. Our speaker on the call is PSAC National President, that you just heard, PSAC National President Chris Aylward. We have so many people on the line, we're not able to take questions, but you can leave a comment or a question at the end of the call, and we will get back to you. Right now, I have a question for you. So we have a poll question that you can answer from your phone. So it's pretty neat. We get to use our phones and to vote. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask my question, and I'm going to repeat the answers twice and give you time to select your answers. So here's our question to you. how has COVID-19 affected your work status? So please choose one of the answers and only one. And so here are your choices, and I'll repeat them twice. Press 1 if you continue to perform your regular work duties without childcare responsibilities. Press 2 if you continue to perform your regular work duties with childcare responsibilities. Press 3 if you continue to do your work at the work site. Press 4 if you were laid off or did not have your contract renewed. And press 5 if it's impossible for you to work remotely or at your work site due to COVID-19. Once again, our question is, how has COVID-19 affected your work status? Press 1 if you continue to perform your regular work duties without childcare responsibilities. Press 2 if you continue to perform your regular work duties with childcare responsibilities. Press 3 if you continue to do your work at the work site. Press 4 if you were laid off or did not have your contract renewed. And press 5 if it's impossible to do your work remotely or at the work site due to COVID-19. I'll be able to give you the results soon. Chris just paid a wonderful tribute to the work being done by PSAC members throughout this pandemic. This might be a good opportunity to let everyone know that PSAC has been documenting these heroic contributions on PSAC's national website and sharing them widely as possible, like on social media and other ways. We always look for ways to highlight members in our union's communications. So we encourage anyone on the call who wants to share their own stories or those of others to get in touch. Just go to our COVID-19 resource page at psacunion.ca, where you'll not only find the stories we've shared already, but you can submit your own using the Still Here for Canada campaign form. Or stay on the line after the call and leave us a message and somebody will get back to you. Chris, you also spoke of the many difficult situations that PSAC members are facing right now. Can you tell us what PSAC has been doing as a union to address these many challenges?
Yes, thank you, Elizabeth. Absolutely. There's no question that our union work looks really different these days, for sure, in the way we work. And I can tell you that we're busier than ever because of these difficult and unusual times. At the local level, your presidents and stewards and other workplace representatives are still there for you. The locals that belong to one of the PSAC's component unions are still getting the support they need from their component. And all locals, including PSAC's directly chartered locals, still have access to PSAC's regional executive vice presidents and to our PSAC regional staff representatives to help with any problems or issues that arise. And also, I want to assure you that PSAC's headquarter operations are still fully functional. We're continuing to bargain and reach settlements, including one just a few weeks ago with Canada Post. These still have to go out for ratification by the members, but we're holding the votes electronically and making sure that all members in good standing can cast a secret ballot. We're also providing legal representation. We're filing grievances. We will make unfair labor practice complaints if need be. And we've even got into court a few times to protect PSAC members' interest, and we're moving to online video hearings with various labor boards. And we're still lobbying government, especially on matters related to COVID-19. We're communicating on a regular basis. We post new content to our website and Facebook page and to our Twitter feed on a daily basis. And we're sending weekly emails to all members who have signed up for them, which I encourage you to do. We're constantly engaging the media and have been doing a pretty good job getting our concerns out in front of the public. We have also been very successful at drawing media attention to the really important role PSAC members have been playing in this COVID-19 response. All of this work helps bring the public to our side. And this is going to be important, my friends, not just now, but as well as in the future when our opponents, like the big business lobby, restart their accusations that we're not worth our pay. Also, we're still offering union education to members and activists, although we've moved to online courses and webinars. And we're still organizing, like the 120 University of Saskatchewan researchers who just recently joined PSAC. But of course, we've had to adjust. We've closed all of our offices as soon as the various public health authorities recommended that people work from home. And that's meant finding new ways to collaborate. And just like other organizations, we've moved our meetings and collaboration online using the right technology to safeguard the confidentiality of our records. COVID-19 is the focus of almost all our union activity. I don't have time tonight to tell you everything, but here are some examples. We're making sure that your health and safety is protected and that members have the protective equipment they need, among other critical support measures. We're making sure that your rights as workers are respected, including your collective agreement rights. This has been very difficult with so much work being done from homes or in extraordinary circumstances. But we've been able to make some real progress and a real impact, like negotiating the use of 699 leave for government employees at the outset of the crisis. And we're finding ways to lessen the blow of the pandemic. Among other things, we've negotiated special agreements for many groups of workers, including those at airports, to make sure that our members don't bear the brunt of big drops in activity and revenue. We've also improved working with others to push governments to introduce and improve income support programs like the Canada Emergency Response Benefit and special employment insurance programs and the Canada Child Benefit. We are in regular and constant contact with our employers, and I can tell you that I'm involved personally in almost daily conversations with Treasury Board, our largest employer. And I'm pleased to say that on the whole, our discussions have been very constructive. We've been able to get things fixed, often before they become problems. The cooperation with Treasury Board, especially on concerns related to mental health, is welcomed, and we'll work hard to maintain it. I also want to mention that in addition to the day-to-day issues, we're planning ahead. We'll be working closely with employers on any return to work plans to make sure it's safe to go back to your workplaces and to make the reopening successful and sustainable. For example, we've already told Treasury Board that members must continue to have access to 699 leave and that decisions about whether or not to approve it can't be left to individual managers. Just last week, I presented to Parliament's Standing Committee on Government Operation, and among other things, I've urged all parliamentarians to continue working with provinces to increase the capacity and speed of testing and contact tracing, as this will be critical in addressing any future outbreaks. And as provinces begin to put forward plans to reopen services like childcare, schools, and other workplaces, we will continue to defend your right to refuse dangerous work and to be accommodated if you cannot return to work due to COVID-19. Elizabeth?
Thanks, Chris. Thanks for filling us in on some of the things PSAC is focusing on through this pandemic. Before we conclude, I'm going to give members the results of our poll question. So if you remember, the question we asked was, how has COVID-19 affected your work status? 51% of you said you continue to perform your regular work without childcare responsibilities. 23% of you said you continue to perform your regular work with childcare responsibilities. 10% said you continue to do your job at the work site. 2% said you were laid off or did not have your contract renewed. And 14% said it was impossible for you to do your work remotely or at the work site due to COVID-19. So thanks to everyone who cast a vote. Back to you, Chris.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Before the call ends, I want to take a minute to speak about bargaining to the members on the call who are among the 140,000 members who work for Treasury Board, the Canada Revenue Agency, the Canada Food Inspection Agency, the Canada Border Service Agency, and Parks Canada. I know your patience is wearing thin, as is mine. No pay increases or wage adjustments for up to 4 years, and more than 4 years of being phoenixed. Before COVID-19 hit, we were on track to win strike votes for every bargaining unit, and we had very good Public Interest Commission or PIC reports. Our objective is to get good settlements. We don't have a strike mandate, but we do have other leverage. It's very clear that services can't be delivered without the goodwill, cooperation, and hard work of our members. That's why we're pushing hard to get back to the bargaining table. And right now, the government needs us, and the public appreciates us. It's a good time for us to get a deal, but we need your help to put the pressure on. In less than a week, we'll be emailing all of you with an important ask: to send a strong message to Treasury Board President Jean-Yves Duclos to get his negotiators back to the bargaining table. As the union applies pressure, we need him to hear from you at the same time, as many of you as possible. So keep an eye on your inbox or visit our national website to help us put the pressure on. If he thinks he can take you for granted, he needs to know he's wrong. Saying thank you for our service over and over again is fine, but is not enough. We want a fair and just contract, and we want it now. We also need you to make sure that PSAC has your updated home email address and cell phone number. We need to be able to communicate with you, especially these days when so many of you are out of your regular workplaces. If we do reach tentative agreements soon, we may have to hold electronic ratification votes, and we won't be able to tell you when or how to vote if we don't have your updated contact information.
Yeah, Chris, thanks. I'll just step in here to let everyone know that to update your contact information, you should go to the PSAC website, psacunion.ca. Then go to the member login page by clicking on the big red button at the top right-hand side of the screen, the one that says member login. That will take you to a page where you can create your own account. If you have issues doing that, if there's problems, please call your regional office and somebody can walk you through that process. Chris?
Thank you, Elizabeth. Friends, let me conclude by saying I know how difficult it has been for you and everyone else to live and work through this pandemic. I know, too, that you aren't just anxious about the present, but also about the future. Provincial and territorial governments are announcing one by one their plans to reopen the economy, and this is causing a whole new round of anxiety. Is it safe to reopen? Is it really okay for children to go back to school? What happens if I'm told to report back to the workplace, but I no longer have childcare? Will I have to go back to work no matter what? What about job security? Are governments going to make massive cuts to make up for their massive spending? These anxieties are well placed because we don't have answers. But let's remember that the future is not completely out of our control. Let's remember that if we work together through our union, we can have a say about what is to come. But in thinking ahead, we also have to think big. COVID-19 showed our social safety net is full of holes. That's why emergency income programs like the Canada Emergency Response Benefit had to be put into place. Quick temporary changes had to be made to employment insurance, and a special support program had to be put in place for students. The long-standing problems in the long-term care homes, like staffing shortages and low wages, were finally exposed to all. The fact that so many people in Canada are living on the edge can no longer be denied. The pandemic has created enormous hardship, suffering, and tragic loss for so many, but it has also created an opening for big change. We can work together and with others for a much better, fairer economy that works for all. Thank you for joining us, everyone. Please keep safe, keep well. Back to you, Elizabeth.
Thank you very much, Chris, for joining us tonight. Before I close, I just want to remind everyone to leave your questions and comments at the end of the call. For more information and news, I encourage everyone to visit PSAC's website at psacunion.ca and visit often because we update it regularly. If you haven't already done so, open a member account on the website and sign up for regular updates. Thanks, everyone, for joining this town hall tonight. Have a great evening and stay safe.